5 years and still talking. This is GABNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, it's Alex Bennett, it's the Ramble. We go until midnight tonight, Eastern Daylight Time. Ladies and gentlemen, the boy on the West Coast we like to talk to the most. Oh boy, I'm a poet and I don't know it. Yeah, it's Larry Bowles Brown. Hello, Larry.
Hello, Alex.
Yes.
We were talking about cars the last time. I remember. I love that 300ZX you had.
Yeah, that was the 300ZX. Yeah, that was my Nissan.
Twin turbo.
Yeah, was it a twin turbo?
Yeah, that thing was fast.
I don't remember. You see, here's what happened. I've never been a guy who cared about what kind of car I had. Just never appealed to me. I bought a car. My father always taught me, you've got a car for one thing and one thing only, and that's for transportation. And if it's good enough to get you from point A to point B, that's all that matters. Meanwhile, kids around me are going, oh, I want a sports car, and I want this, and I want that. Well, I had what was I had? I had a Mazda, right?
I remember your RX-7.
And, well, no, before that, just a regular Mazda sedan.
Oh, okay.
And then I saw the RX-7, and I kind of liked it because it had that Wonkel engine. You remember the Wonkel engine? It was a rotary engine.
The rotary engine.
Yeah. Had different sound to it and everything. And I figured that was a pretty good idea. It was a whole new concept in engines. It only had one cylinder or something, and it rotated, and it...
very few moving parts.
Very few moving parts. Supposedly a superior car, and I can't say I had any real trouble with the engine in that car. And so I owned that RX-7 for, maybe a couple of years, Larry? You know better than I do. You know my life better than I do.
I remember I did your first show in 1983, and I remember you gave me a ride home in that once, so you had it in 83.
Yeah. Was it a four-seater or was that a two-seater?
It was a two-seater.
Two-seater. And I figured I never needed more than a two-seater for anything because I was unsociable. Anyway, so...
You practiced social distancing before it was popular.
So then I decide, it's time to buy a new car. All right? So my business manager and I go into the Nissan dealership. And I see this beautiful car. And they said that's a what do they call it? What did you call it a minute ago?
300ZX.
300ZX. Then I said, how much? And they said, well, this one is a floor model, so we'll give you some money off on it, $33,000, which was pretty high in the day. Okay?
At the time, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And my business manager says, well, no, we're not going to pay that. He says, well, let me go talk to my manager and see what kind of deal I can make for you. And he comes back and he says, how's $32,000? And he said, my business manager said, nah, that's unacceptable. He said, well, what would be acceptable to you? I'll take it back to my manager. He said, $3.75. And the guy starts laughing. He says, what are you laughing about? You said you could take it back to your manager. Go tell him $3.75. So he goes back. And he comes back. He says, well, no way that's happening. And he said, my business manager said, no way this is happening either. Come on, Alex. And we start walking out. And I said, but come on, I want that car. I want that car. He says, just don't worry. He says, by the time my hand hits the door, he's going to make us a better offer. And then, sure enough, the minute our hand hit the door, the guy said, wait a minute. And we got it for $28,000. So
28, wow.
Yeah. And so I had this sports car. I mean, and one that people, took notice of. And I didn't care. I just wanted a car to get me from point A to point B. But now I've got guys giving me the okay sign as I drive by. And I suddenly realize I've got a absolute beast on my hands here, you know. And I had that thing for years and years and years and years and years. And I finally sold it when I came to New York. Sold it for cash, actually. And I think somebody got a really good bargain out. I think I sold to him for $10,000 or something like that. But anyway, so that was my big sports car, period.
Well, what was your first car?
My first car was, well, actually, it was are you ready for this? What do you call it? I'm trying to remember the brand. It was it was called a Torpedo. I think it was either, I seem to remember Pontiac maybe, or something Torpedo. Anyway, it was
it might have been, I think I might have been Oldsmobile.
No, it was a 1939 Pontiac Torpedo, I think, if I remember correctly. Okay.
So that was an old car.
Yeah, but the reason I bought it is this guy I knew owned it, and he got laid a lot, and I had never had sex yet. So I figured if I bought it, I would get laid too. So I bought it from him, and it was a Pontiac Torpedo, and it didn't last very long, but it was for its day, it was a streamlined car, but people had tried to paint it with spray paint and things like that to make it look newer, and it was pretty funky. And then I downgraded to I think something like a 1937 car that was very boxy, you know. And then what did I get after that? Oh, then I got a Ford. I upgraded to a 51 Ford, and that was a good little car. That was a really good little car. And then at some point, I was in the Navy. I just come out of the Navy, so I needed a car. And the Mustangs had just come out the year before. And so I got a second-year Mustang, brand new. And that was a terrific car. What an idea that was, you know. Because what it did is it completely turned the whole way you thought about cars, and other cars had to adapt to it. Like, one of the things it had was interior rugs. You know, before you used to go out and buy these rubber mats you'd put on the floor, on what was essentially a metal floor, and you didn't have carpeting in the car, and this had carpeting. That's what I remember most about it. But it also was a sports car, and it did have a back seat, I think, but very cramped.
That was the big thing, because the two-seater cars were very limited to the number of people they could sell to. By putting that small rear seat in, it opened up a huge market to Ford.
Right. And, the big car up until that point, when it came to sports cars, was the Thunderbird.
Corvette.
And the Corvette and the Thunderbird, and Ford had nothing, okay? And so this thing represented, I think it was originally sold as a sports car, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
Yeah.
Introduced at the New York World's Fair in 1964.
Yeah, the Ford had the Thunderbird, right?
Ford had the Thunderbird,
Corvette
and that
was,
came out in
was
55.
Chevrolet. And it was, wow, what a car. What a car. Now, you want me to, see, now I'm not a big car guy, okay, but I do remember certain cars that came out in my lifetime that were significant. Do you ever remember the Kaiser Darren?
No, I've heard it. I know the Kaiser made a car, but
Yeah, it was the Kaiser Darren, and it had like lips on the front of it. It looked like lips. Just like later on, the Edsel came out and looked like a vagina.
Their slogan was, "If our car doesn't kill you, our surgeons will."
No, well, the thing was with the Edsel, It had come out when S.I. Hayakawa, who was then a professor at San Francisco State College, had written a treatise called Sexual Symbolism in the American Automobile. And it was all about how the car had certain elements to it that were very sexual. So the people at Ford took this to heart and said, let's put a grill in that looks like a vagina. And they did. It looks just like a vagina. I don't know of any other shape in nature that looks like what they put on the front of an Edsel except a vagina.
Jesus.
So
the biggest flop in automotive history.
And it wasn't a bad car. It had good ideas behind it, but it just didn't capture the imagination of the American public. You could shift gears by buttons on the steering wheel.
It had the push-button transmission, yeah.
Yeah, push-button transmission. And, I didn't think it was that bad a car. And finally, I think in its third year, when it wasn't selling too well, they decided to change the nature of the beast, as it were, and they did away with the grille, and they just made it into a standard sedan. And that even sold less.
Yeah, that was the last year, 58 to 60.
And they gave up on it. And the word Edsel always is the same as the word flop.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, I think it was kind of sad because it wasn't a bad automobile. It just didn't appeal to the public.
No, and they'd done the most what they call that pre-marketing or something, and they did surveys and questionnaires, and they did so much research. They thought it was going to be such a huge hit, and it just failed miserably.
Yeah, and then of course you remember the Studebaker.
Studebaker, yeah, made some great-looking cars in the 50s.
Well, my father used to describe it as it looked the same way coming at you that it looked backing up. Because really, the front and the back were pretty much symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the Studebaker. And the biggest car my father ever bought that I remember was a Hudson.
Oh, they called those, they look like bathtubs.
You stepped down into them.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, when you open the door, and instead of going up as you did in most cars, there was a little rise. This one, you step down into, and that was their big deal. And they even had a head ornament that lit up, if I remember correctly. The front of the car had an
that'd be cool.
ornament that lit up. And my father loved that car. The Hudson wasn't a bad car, but all these cars disappeared. They just, all of a sudden, they just kind of slowly fell by the wayside. So we don't have Studebakers today. We don't have Nashes. Remember the Nash? Wow, what a terrible automobile that was.
Hudson, they got Nash. They got bought up by Rambler and then American Motors. And
Yeah. So Nash and Studebaker and Hudson.
Packard.
Packard. Packard was a separate company, wasn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Kaiser for a few years.
Kaiser with the Kaiser Darren. And I think they had some other cars, too, if I'm not mistaken.
And the ill-fated Tucker.
Oh, the Tucker. There's a whole movie about that one.
Yeah.
The guy they only wound up making, I think, 55 of them, and 53 are still working.
Yeah, they're worth a lot of money.
What he did, folks, in case you don't know, he built headlights that when you turned the corner, the headlights moved to the side a little bit. In other words, wherever you were going...
The car had a bunch of safety features, too, but that headlight, it was a great idea.
And it came with seatbelts.
Uh-huh.
It was the first car with seatbelts, and somehow the big motor companies went to Washington, and I think he was put on trial, wasn't he, at one point?
He was put on trial because they thought he had defrauded investors, and I remember the movie made it look like the big three had conspired.
And they said you haven't made any of them, so finally he got all the ones he had, which were 55 of them, and they paraded in front of the courthouse.
Yeah.
To prove that, yes, we did make these damn things. And they did, But it was all the things he put into that car later were adopted by the major companies.
Right.
With good reason. Really terrific, interesting car, interesting story. about the guy. And
That was a Coppola movie.
Yeah, it was because Coppola owned one. That's why he did the movie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So one of the cars in that film was his car.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Larry, I want you to stay safe. Don't get the big virus.
Oh, yeah. I'm social distancing 600 feet.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we love him. He's from California, where I wish I was right now, but I wouldn't dare get on an airplane. Larry Bubbles Brown. Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Alex.
5 years and still talking. This is GABNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Oh, yeah. That's our big opening. See, that's our big opening. Our big COVID-19 opening. Anyway, hi, how are you? You doing okay tonight? Good. I'm glad you're doing okay tonight because the rest of the world isn't. No, I don't want that. I keep screwing stuff up, and I don't understand why. Here's what I wanted to go to. See, there's the map, okay? Notice that number? Notice that one right there? Yeah, see where my arrow is there? See that? The world went over 5 million. In fact, 5,101,967 with 332,900 deaths, going on 333,000 deaths. Oh, boy. That's not good. That's not good at all. Let's go to the U.S. here. Okay. The U.S. We've got 1 million. I wish it were 1,000. 1,577,140 with 94,702 deaths. We're going on 95,000 deaths. And let's emphasize that, folks. There's the number right there. I guess within the next couple of days, we should be hitting 100,000 people who died as a result of it. They're not dying in New York City, though, as a matter of fact, because today we had only, 102 deaths. And 30 of them were in nursing homes. The rest were in in hospitals, and I think that amounts to, if we take 30 away from, something like 77 people died in hospitals, and that is not bad if you consider that we have over 30 hospitals in the New York state system. So that's an average of about maybe 3 deaths a day or something like that. Something ridiculously low. Russia's coming back is now the second highest in the world. They're really burning it up now, with 317,554 cases, with 3,099 deaths. Brazil now is in the number 3 spot. It's the new hot spot, by the way. They have 310,087 total confirmed, 20,047 dead. I'm trying to figure out what percentage it is of that, but it's maybe the highest per 100,000 in the world at this point, I think. But it's getting to be a real hot spot, and the president down there refuses to say it's anything worse than it's not worse than the common cold. It's no different than a common flu, is what he says. And people are just dying like crazy because what they got down there in Brazil is they have this thing called favelas, okay? And favelas are where the very poor people live, and they live in very crowded conditions, sometimes 6 to a room, okay? If you ever saw the movie, what was it, Black Orpheus, that picture took place in the favelas. They're a very poor area in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro. And they're tightly packed. It's terrible, and that's where the death is coming from. It seems this particular disease is especially affecting not only old people, which we were talking about before, but also just poor people, people who are living in closed conditions, right? So that's what that is all about. Anyway, let me see here. Let me get the Skype going. Let me see here. Here it is. There it goes. Oh boy, the lights seem a little bright tonight. I don't know why. Should I turn the lights down a little bit here? Let me see here. Let me see if I can just turn them down just a tad, just so they don't seem as bright to me. Okay, there we go. And I still got there's still a good picture of me, right? Yeah, it's good. That's fine. Okay, I'm opening up the Skype lines now. Let me get my thing active here, and we'll be ready to start taking your calls. But that's what's happening here in New York. The intubations are down. We are down to the amount of people being admitted to the hospitals now are down to the level they were when this whole thing began. I mean, not at zero. That's where it began, but the first couple of days into this, we're back down around that level. I think it's only something like 400 a day or something like that. Okay, wait a minute. Here comes our first caller, ladies and gentlemen, and it is, let me see here. Let me get him in here so that we have him. Wait a minute. I tell you, I won't put you in the first place. I'll tell you why, because, wait a minute. Well, Brian Neary, we'll add him. Okay, we'll put you in the top spot, Phil.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Why? Why? Because I owe it to you. Let me see here. Okay. All right. And then number 2 spot, we got to put in, we got Rob Alfano calling. Number 2 spot, we're going to put in Brian Neary. Okay.
Looks like Brian's in his garage.
Okay, Brian Neary. And then, let's see here, the number 3 spot, Rob Alfano. We'll put Rob Alfano. There we go. Okay. And then in the number, let me see here, so you can see, let's see here. The number 4 spot, we've got, who do we have in the number 4 spot? Let's put Charlie Wallace in the 4th spot. Oh, sure. Boy, everybody's calling really fast. Everybody slow down. You're driving me nuts here. Okay, there we go. Let me see here. There's Charlie. There's Zeller, and Josh Wheeler is calling. So we'll put him in the number 6 spot. Okay, let me see here. Let me see here. Well, Zeller's who am I trying to? Hold on a second. We have to find Josh. Where are we? Are you there, Josh? Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay, hold on a second. Josh, there we go. Okay, and then let me do this. Okay, then I got to answer Kevin, and I'll put him in the number 7 spot. Let me see here. Kevin. He would be. Wait a minute. I have to cancel here. See. Let me see here. Where are we? What? Wait a minute. Number 6. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Number 6 should be Josh, but unfortunately it didn't grab. So let me put it back in here. Josh, where? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there we go. Because Rob was right there in that place. Okay, then we go, and finally we got to put in Kevin. He is going to be in the number 7 spot. He would be Hog Rider. Oh, where is he? Hog Rider. There he is. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. There we go. All right. We're all cool, right?
So you guys are talking about cars, you and Bubs. We're talking about cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is my 1934 Cadillac I'm building.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
And then this.
Nobody else talks, so he can talk, and I can get his picture there, so that we can show him. Okay. Oops. Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that is my 1957 Cadillac, and that's chopped and airbagged, all white walls and everything.
Wow.
This is a 1934 Cadillac I'm working on right now. It's a convertible speedster, very, very rare.
I bet.
Yeah. You think about this car historically, this is during the Depression, and this was a coupe, and it has the golf club door. So, side. So, whoever owned this was very, very rich because they had this as a second car, back then, and to have money was pretty crazy.
Wow.
So this is, I don't know if I can. Oh yeah. So it's all pearl white interior.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. That's all. And then Studebaker. These are actually Studebaker fins that I put over.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. We lost you. We lost him because he, I guess the garage is not the best signal he's got in the whole house. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, so I got these two, and then I have a 1985 Mercedes.
Oh, gee.
It's all Euro package and everything that I'm sort of restoring.
And you don't sell these things?
I sold this one right here. See, yeah, I sold that one. That was the 1940 LaSalle, Cadillac LaSalle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I sold that one about 3
By the
years ago.
way, LaSalle is the word nobody understands in the theme from All in the Family. And
yeah.
boy, our LaSalle ran great.
Yep.
Yeah, then you see these are all my trophies from all the shows.
Really? Really,
Yeah,
son of a bitch.
Calendars and both of the cars, and then even root beer bottles. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. The cars get a personality.
Well, we just lost him again. He's in a kind of sketchy space for his Wi-Fi.
You guys are talking about cars and Bubs, so I had to show you.
Okay, that's wonderful. Now, if you had a Kaiser Darren, I would say you were talking about the same stuff the rest of us were talking about.
Yeah. Okay. I'll be with you guys in a minute. Let me go.
Okay, he's going to go back inside, and let me see here. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get out of something here, and I have more trouble. There we go. All right. Okay. Now I'm all right. Okay. Anyway, how y'all doing tonight?
Good.
Okay, good. By the way, I have something I want to apologize for. I want to apologize to Phil because last night I went back and looked at the show, and I went off the handle on you, Phil. And while you deserve anything I give you, you didn't deserve that. So I apologize for that.
Well, thank you very much. I'm sure I did something to cause you to get upset.
Oh, continually.
Yes.
On a constant basis. But you did. I flew off the handle on that one. I could have handled it better. Let me put it that way.
you know, it happens, and we could all do things better. You know, it doesn't matter. Thank you for mentioning that. And, you know, the last thing I want to do is cause you any aggravation either.
Well, don't you dare ever again.
Yeah.
Anyway, what?
Brian, do you have a one of the Crystal Awards from John D'Agostino?
No, not yet. I'll get it with the 34.
Yeah, I'm supposed to go to dinner with soon, and I'm going to tell him, hey, you know, you got to consider the Crystal Award for Brian.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have a mutual friend who's really big.
Okay. You're going to have to turn your audio off there, Ray, until you want to talk, because it's a little noisy out there. Let me give you a spot here, though. Let me see here. Number, let me see, 8, 9. That's what I want. Is Ray Renati, Gumball? There he is. Goomba. There we go. Okay. He's out and about and walking the dog. Oh, look at the little dog. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. So you do sell those cars, right? I mean, you don't.
Yeah, the gold one's tough for me to sell because I've had that one for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But I finished that one in 2007. So yeah, that one's been around for a long time.
You take those things out. You take those things out for a ride.
Yes, I drive them. So I've driven the gold one to LA probably about 10 or 11 times to different shows down there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the red one you saw, the LaSalle, that one about 7 or 8 times. No trailers.
I bet you get a lot of stares and a lot of these high fives and circles and.
Yeah, and then we're driving and it's nice and cruising, and then all of a sudden someone comes up right next to me and honks the horn. Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh boy. Okay, here comes John
How long does it
Larkin.
take you to build one of those?
Brian also rides on the weekends, and he gets together with 100 people with classic cars, and they go for a ride in the air.
Yeah, we had these safe cruises going on Saturday mornings. Yeah, we had almost 100 cars last week. Pretty crazy.
Probably. Did anybody sing Edith Bunker? Singing?
That's what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, LaSalle ran great. Those were the days.
LaSalle ran great.
Yeah, those were the days.
What were you asking about?
I don't remember that.
I asked how long it takes to, like for that Cadillac that you're building now. How long will it take you to get it to where the other cars are?
Wait a minute. Wait, how long will it take that you to get? He wants to know how long will it take you get that car.
Yeah, my system was freezing. The gold one, since that was my first custom, I built some other cars before, but that was about 7 years. And then the LaSalle was about 4 years. This one's about 7 years. No, this is about 5 years so far with the 34 Cadillac. But that's everything. That's redoing the frame, all suspension. You get into the 30s and 40s cars, you really have to change everything.
Yeah. Wow.
Cool.
That's very cool. You know, and I'm as I said earlier to Bubs, I'm not a big car fan. Okay. You know, I didn't, but I could appreciate a car like that. I can appreciate that.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, so it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Is this a Royal Flush, Phil? You're the one who's the keeper.
3, 7, 11. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, 11 with me.
Yeah.
No more calls, please, folks, please, because we find that when and I really should redo this page, when we get the other two that I could put down over there, okay, over there, it just it becomes a real problem. Certain people start blanking out and so on.
And again, it's so funny because you were like 4 months ago, you're ready to cut everything. Nobody's calling. I'm stopping the program.
Yeah. Well, we're getting a lot of people. We're getting a lot of people watching. You know, it's amazing, actually, to tell you the damn truth.
The virus has been good for GABNet.
The virus has been very good for GABNet. Yeah. People need something to do, and God damn it, if this isn't what they've decided to do, so it's good. How you doing, Josh?
Good. How you doing?
What's new in your part of the woods?
Not a whole lot.
They still
Got
make
an extra day off this week.
You what? You're off this week?
Got an extra day off, so.
Oh, I
Calling
see.
2 nights instead of 1.
Oh, okay. Why'd you get an extra night off this week?
I took tomorrow off.
Oh, you just wanted to have the time off.
I gotta use it sometime. I certainly don't give it back.
I know so many people that do. It's like, really? You give back your vacation? It's like taking a pay cut.
If you work somewhere and you don't use your vacation and you give it back to them, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, the good old days were gone. They let me build up my vacation days, so I was able to retire 6 months early.
Oh, really?
I don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
They don't pay you for the vacation days you don't use?
No, not a lot of companies. You don't use it, you lose it.
If you don't use them, you lose them.
And you're supposed to take it off, and if you don't, then, like I said, you're an idiot. I mean, if you want to work for free,
you're giving away money. I say it to people all the time. It's like,
not really into that.
and me, a couple of $100 or whatever it is that you make a day.
Yeah, I didn't take my vacations as much as I should have when I was at Sirius XM. And really, you're right. I mean, you should take all the vacations that are due you.
Absolutely. I'm off vacation next week.
Mm-hmm.
Staycation, actually.
A staycation.
We know where to go.
Absolutely.
I remember, Hamill, you didn't like to take vacations because you didn't want the interruption to the show. You were more interested in the quality of the show than you were in the vacation.
Well, I also, I was... how can I put this? I was very protective of that show. Yeah. And so I'd have to leave it in the hands of somebody else.
No best ofs, huh?
No, well, best ofs, and a morning show, best ofs don't work that well because they need to be kind of day and date. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, right?
And that's when you trained me to be there after you left also, so that I could help out the people that took over the show in those mornings.
Yeah. But I when I finally did do it, who do I have? Oh, I bring people in that I knew to do it, and I was happy with most of the people who took over for me. But
there was a black guy and a woman.
What?
The guy who came on after you. Mm-hmm. A tall black guy, very
Tony Kilbert.
Right.
How do I remember that name?
Yeah, good guy.
Yeah, great guy.
He filled in, and then a woman, a little on the heavier set side. I don't remember her name.
That I don't remember, but somehow I remembered Tony Kilbert. I don't know why. Yeah, but anyway, let's not talk about stuff people don't know about. Let's see here. How you doing, Patrick? How's the coronavirus staying away from your door?
Yeah, everything's fine around here. I think Sunday we had a day without any deaths or actually any people going in the hospital. So our curve, I would say, is pretty much flattened, and the opening up of some of the stuff didn't cause any big problems. So
as long as you do it in a metered way, and don't just suddenly go, okay, everybody party up, vomit in each other's mouths, whatever.
It is everything open, but businesses are opening at their own pace, and they're deciding how they want to do things, which is what I've always felt would happen anyway, is that I always thought that portion was overblown by people, that if we say, okay, everything's open, that it's going to be like the Patriots won the Super Bowl when everybody's going to run outside. And that's not the case. It didn't happen here. businesses are still closed, some of them. Other ones are open.
Mm-hmm.
Others are allowing 5 people in at a time. You know, it varies. So people are smarter than I think the government gives them credit.
Well, let me ask you this question, though. Even at its height, how bad was it for you guys there in Wisconsin?
Not bad.
Not bad.
I think you had asked me a month or two ago, and I think at that time we had just over 300 people in the hospital at any particular time.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of deaths here, I don't know, I think...
Well, new admissions to the hospital here today, according to Cuomo's count today, were 400. But you got to realize that's in the entire state of New York, which has a total population of what? Does anybody know? I know. I think the population of New York State is about 16 million. Huh?
I thought it was 19.
19 million? Okay.
Yeah,
so when you compare it to a lot of other states, which are seeing a jump up and they see 400 new cases a day in those states, we're doing very well now, you know. And as I said, if you were to say how many people are in hospital, died in hospitals in the last day, it only amounts to an average of about, 3 per hospital maybe? You know, that's not bad. Not compared to what it was, you know. So we've managed to really flatten the curve. We're right back almost where we were at the very beginning, but we don't want to see that go back up again, and so we're being very careful about it. But they have, the hardest part they've had, I think, the most monumental task that they have engaged in is sanitizing the subways. Every night from, what is it? Is it 1 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the morning? They have people down in the subways disinfecting every car. Now you got to realize how many trains there are in this subway system. And they now have a new thing they have where it fits on some of the posts where you kind of hold on to the, you know, when the train is really full and you want to hold on. They've put up these things that are ultraviolet light that blast the train when it's not filled with people, full of ultraviolet rays to kill the virus that's there. And now the latest thing that they've found, you know, we learned something. It's funny. Phil's favorite guy, Cuomo, today was saying that the thing about this whole story is we learn something every day. Something we assumed yesterday was true isn't true today. You know, we believed that kids couldn't get the virus, right? Or that it wouldn't affect them badly. And then all of a sudden we're finding they're dying of it because of complications from the virus. And there are just a lot of different things that change. And one of them that changes is they found out today that things do not stick onto surfaces. The virus does not stick onto surfaces quite as badly as we once thought it did. Like we say, like spray your paper cartons that you get from like Amazon with antibacterial, that maybe they don't really cling to that. So there are these new things we're learning about it and so on. And who knows?
But how about this? I was talking to my wife about this tonight.
Yeah.
You're walking down the city street, people walking in front of you. You've got your mask on. And somebody in front of you sneezes. And those droplets hang in the air.
Yeah.
So, all right, but you've got your mask on, but your eyes are open.
Yeah. The mask don't do anything for you. It protects the other people.
See, if that person sneezed.
But if you had a mask on, you wouldn't have to work.
I mean, like if you had a face guard, and I'm talking about like congestion areas like New York City or places, not, I live.
Yeah.
But if you're walking down the street of the city and somebody spews and they've got it and they sneeze or cough a lot and there are droplets in the air, presumably those droplets, you could walk by and you could be blinking and they could get in your eye. You can become infected.
Yeah, walk the other way.
That's why you shelter in place.
Yeah, well, the idea of wearing the mask is you're wearing the mask to protect somebody else, and he's wearing his mask to protect you. And so, consequently, those two things, and then if you keep the social distance, which I argue that 6 feet is enough. I think it should be more like 12 feet. It probably should be 1/2 a city block, so far as I'm concerned. But that those things are those various things, and then washing your hands and all the other things that we talk about. Those little minor things we talked about in the beginning, the 5 different points of things you should be doing. You do those, and you're protecting yourself against it. By the way, you know what they found out? They thought that the people here in New York City, who would you think was most subject to getting the virus? Anybody have a guess? Phil, want to guess?
Cops and frontline people like firemen.
That's what you would have thought, right? EMTs, hospital workers, people like that. No, they have when they finally did the tests, they found they had a very low rate of infection. Because the reason why they have a low rate of infection is they were wearing the masks. They were wearing the gloves. You know where they found the greatest amount of infection was? People who stayed at home.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
And they didn't have any antibodies. I mean, at least if you're out.
That wasn't it. The reason is, I know Rob went, what? They said that really amazed them. That the most people they found that were infected were people who were staying at home. But they do go out occasionally. They go to the store or whatever. So the people who were taking precautions about staying in place, and then also, you got to realize, I live in an apartment with somebody else. If Marjorie goes out, she somehow gets it and comes home, then I'm going to get it from her.
It's tough.
Yeah. They didn't think they were going to find it among the stay-at-home population as large as they were going to find it in the workers, And the truth of the matter was that those people, I think among police, there was something like, it was like 9% or something had the virus, as opposed to the general population, which was much higher. Firemen, EMTs, all very not what they thought it was going to be. So, all I'm saying is whatever you think is going to be the truth today may not be the truth tomorrow, because this is an ever-evolving learning process. Yes, Ray?
Early on, my wife was extremely ill, and I have a really nerdy son, and he knew about this thing happening in China, and there were just 1 or 2 cases in California, and so my wife stayed in the bedroom for 2 weeks by herself, and she had all the symptoms, but none of us got sick. But yeah, if we hadn't done that, I think we all would have gotten it.
Did she go get the test? Did she go get a test?
No, we didn't even know there was a test at that time. It was it was really, really early,
Be interesting if she got the test now to see if she had it.
If she has the antibodies. Yeah, I know. It's hard to get that test, the antibody test for a regular person.
Yeah, but what's also true is maybe you did get it.
I might have, right.
But it was but you got what we would call an inoculative. Am I right? Could I call it Brian, an inoculative form of it, in which you live with somebody who has it and you get it, but just a little bit, but enough.
Very small.
Yeah. That's what I was saying with the people who were staying at home and they got it, but maybe the people that were living with them, like Alex says, were out and carried it. And then somebody at home actually got sick.
Yeah. When I was
today,
she was really ill. She had all the symptoms, coughing and chest pain, and we just thought it was a really bad flu. But It might have been the flu. Who knows, right? But
it sounds to me like
she had a
probably.
flu shot.
It sounds to me if she had a flu shot and she still got those symptoms, and it probably was COVID.
Yeah.
No, because sometimes
maybe not. Who knows?
the flu might protect against the flu shot might protect against, let's say, 4 flus, but there might be 8 flus out there, and if the one you
That's
get
true.
happens to be that shot.
Yeah, usually though, Phil, what they inoculate you against is the most common, and they say that if you have the flu shot, what's good about that is if you then get this, chances are pretty good you got the COVID.
Yeah,
You know.
although Ray's wife worked at a gym, and when you're working in a gym, sometimes you're in closer proximity.
Oh, absolutely.
To people.
Yeah, she worked at the gym every day. Yeah.
How do you not touch all the surfaces at the gym?
Yeah, every day she worked there. But
Wow.
really close to a lot of people who were breathing hard.
Yeah.
And sweating and doing all sorts of other stuff. So the chances of catching something are greater.
Although it shouldn't be. Can't catch you from sweat. It's a respiratory thing, right?
Yeah, it's respiratory. I think when people are breathing hard and droplets are coming out more, there's just a higher chance.
Yeah, yeah.
Apparently, that's why they say like if you're riding a bike or something, there's a lot of people around, you should wear a mask.
John, you worked as an usher in a movie theater, right?
No, the theater, music theater, like we're, like a nightclub.
Oh, I see. Okay, but that
like the Orpheum and the Golden Gate,
right,
and the Warfield.
Right. So you worked at places like that, and you could have gotten it.
Yeah,
you're lucky you didn't.
They closed them down pretty quickly, though. I mean, I guess they closed them like right about the same time the sports stuff got all closed. So
yeah,
I could have got it. Yeah, I'm lucky. I got tested though last weekend. I got a test, and it's free, and I'm negative, so that's good.
Well, Marjorie has to be tested because she's getting a shot in her spine that she gets every now and then for the pain that I know. Patrick's giving me that ouch look. Did you ever have a spinal? Well, no, you don't need them. You have an automatic spinal, right, Patrick? I mean, basically, because I got a spinal when I got this, these seeds put in me, and that didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. I thought it was going to kill me.
I'd rather go to spinal surgery than even risk getting an epidural. So
don't they give pregnant women epidurals during pregnancy? They don't seem to come.
Yeah.
They're under so much pain that they're looking for relief.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that pain's nothing compared to contractions.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, what happened was what was I going to say? Jeez, so I had something I wanted to say, and my mind completely forgot.
About Marjorie getting the.
Oh, she has to go get, because she's getting this spinal thing. She's getting this shot in her spine. They put her out for it, but they want her to get the COVID test just to make sure she doesn't have COVID. So at least I will know whether I have COVID or not, because if she has it, but I don't. She's not going to have it. I seriously doubt it. I'm not getting it because they say the reason to get it is if you have symptoms. Right now, they don't want people who don't have symptoms to go get it, because why? And you're just taking up the time and the test that somebody else could use that truly feels they might have it. So,
Yeah, I'm kind of a hypochondriac. I thought I might have had it, but I think it just turned out to be indigestion.
Well, well, try living where I do. What? Yes, Charlie.
I said take a Tums.
Yeah.
Take a Tums. Well, the problem that I have myself is that I have I'm a big allergy guy, and it's allergy season. And guess what some of the symptoms are? Wheezing, sneezing, coughing, whatever. But I know the difference between that and
All of those things are Santa's reindeer.
Yes, yes, right. Coughing, wheezing. Yeah. Yes, Kevin.
I just noticed you got 2 Johns and no Patrick on your YouTube.
Oh, really? Oh, boy. Thank you. Thank you for
Sorry.
telling me that. I know. Let's see here. The John's in the 8th place. Okay, he's in the 8th place, so I got to get in the 8th place, and I got to get Darth Pat. Where's
Didn't mean to
Darth
throw it
Pat?
off track or
No, thank you very much. I appreciate it, because sometimes I don't see it. There we go. Okay, there's Pat. Now we have everybody we should have.
How was Patrick's dad? I don't know if anybody is aware, but he had a bout with was it a tumor, Patrick?
He originally diagnosed him with an aneurysm, but it turned out to be a benign tumor. So he just meets with a neurosurgeon to see if it needs to be removed or just to watch it. So
yeah,
not really concerned about it anymore. Right.
Good.
How do you get a brain tumor? That's my question. You know,
it just happens.
It's a real
it just
bad
happens, right?
It is bad. My assistant at work got one, and it was terrible over several years, and it just beat her to death.
Really? I mean, she finally died as a result of it?
Yes, she did.
Oh,
they couldn't operate. It was
It went over. It happened over probably the last 5 years of her life, maybe 6 or no, I think it was about 6 or so. It would go away and then come back, and go away and come back. And...
Well, I always thought you could operate on anything. Okay, Jeff, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was going to say I had a bleeder, so to speak.
A what?
And I had a brain surgery problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, from a stroke.
Oh, from the stroke. Oh,
yeah.
But did you have the brain surgery and then it caused the stroke? That's what happened.
No, the stroke came first.
Uh-huh.
And then I had the surgery as a way to mitigate it.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And, that was an interesting choice.
Yes. Yeah. But something caused your stroke, though, didn't it? Some medication you were taking or something?
Oh, yeah. Because of my heart stuff, I had a mechanical valve, and I had to take Coumadin, which is a thinning drug.
Yeah.
That once in a while it reacts.
Yeah.
Overreacts.
Yeah. I had
to take that for 6 months, and I hated it, and I couldn't wait to get off it.
Yeah.
I think they gave me Plavix.
Plavix?
Yeah.
Plavix.
It's one of the Jerry Lewis.
Phil, what about this? What about the brain surgery you had and replaced it with this brain you have now? Trump.
No. They put a heart in.
Oh,
okay.
Well, no, they removed the heart when you became a Trump fan, didn't they?
That's what I'm saying.
They took away your brain.
Same thing.
Yeah. But I was trying to think. Oh boy, I'm trying to remember now. There was something I wanted to say about this, and I completely forgot it. Oh, forget it. I'm getting old. It's time for me to retire.
Jeff's got his hand up.
What?
Yeah.
Jeff's got his hand up.
Jeff. Yes, Jeff.
So I was talking about how do I get around here? Because basically I stay at home. That's my safety issue. And my wife pretty much stays at home too. But we do go outside, and she walks quite a bit. But I ride on my bike. And because on my bike, if anybody comes close to me, I go to the other side of the road.
Yeah.
So I turn around, whatever. I just stay away from any person.
Now, outside of your age, though, do you have compromising situations because of your stroke and so on?
Today?
No, I mean, that make you vulnerable to this disease.
Probably for the heart stuff the most.
Yeah.
The most risky thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I haven't asked my doctor. I wanted to. I
don't
really
think
should.
my brain counts anymore.
Yeah, but I want to. I really wanted to ask my doctor, and I just haven't gotten a hold of him just to say, am I, because I took, I had all this stuff and so on. Oh, here comes Brian Neary back again. I think we lost him is what happened. Okay, he probably should start moving now.
Yeah, maybe because I connected downstairs, I keep having freezing issues. So okay.
Okay, so well, no, we still don't have you though.
Yeah, I just clicked it. There we go.
Okay, right there we go. There's Brian. No, what was I going to say? I don't know. Forget it.
It started with Marjorie's epidural.
But there was something before then about something.
Inoperable brain cancer?
No, that I had, and I just wondered if I. Oh well, I don't know. See, I wonder whether the planting of the seeds and so on made me
protection or risk.
At risk. Yeah. Whether it compromised my immune system or whatever. Now, I assume that the seeds are no longer radioactive.
How long has it been now?
It's been over 2 months, and these things only last.
Before the COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah. It usually these seeds stay potent for about 2 months, and then they just die, and then you just have these little seeds in you. They're inert and whatever. And I just wonder that if at any point I was compromised because of being, not having an immune system, how did it affect my immune system? And I have no idea. I mean, he might tell me, nah, it doesn't do anything. Doesn't.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this COVID thing going away because I'm going to be going in for some radiation.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be more at risk than I would be, without with the COVID. I'd like to put it off for a couple of months.
Well, you're going to be doing, from what you told me, it's going to be low dose radiation.
7 weeks of it.
Mine was like 5 days of really high dose radiation. I don't know. I really don't know. I have no idea how any of this compromises your system and who's at risk and who isn't at risk.
It's a question the doctor should be able to answer.
I'm sure, probably. But then again, I told them at least his nurse, my feeling that I didn't want to get the blood test, and I didn't want to get the
PSA.
Not the PSA. Well, that PSA is the blood test, but the what do you call it? The CT scan, because I didn't want to go to the hospital because I didn't. In the middle of all of this, I didn't want to expose myself to the risk, and she understood that. So I assume that I was somewhat compromised.
They're hearing from a lot of people. I was supposed to have a blood test. Today's Thursday. I was supposed to have a blood test yesterday, and my regular physical on next Thursday. Instead, I called the doctor and said, "Nah, why should I?" And she said, "Okay, but we want to still see you because they want to get paid, and they're going to do it virtually."
Well, my doctor, I have a neurologist for my neuropathy, and I'm supposed to see him, I think, in about a week. And they wrote me a note and said, if you want to, he said, you don't have to come to the hospital. We'll do a telemedicine thing.
Yeah,
they're doing a lot of that now.
Oh yeah,
I've done about 4.
They're getting paid.
Yeah. And they get paid for it, they get paid just like a regular visit. But what they can't do is they can't put you up on the table and do the stethoscope and.
Right. I can put the camera by my balls so they can check the hernia.
Yeah, put the camera down by your balls and cough. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting a CT scan and a bone scan on the 26th.
Yeah.
I do them both in the same day.
Yeah. It's and you had a case where it looks like you may have the cancer, right?
Yeah, well, there's a very good possibility, since I had 2 detectable PSA tests that came back detectable, that some of the cancer cells ended up staying there.
Okay, so how do they know where to do the radiation? Do they know where the cancer may have shown up?
I think that's what the CT scan and the bone scan is all about. They want to see if it went to the bone. And CT scan, I think, because they inject you with dye, that's probably where it identifies.
Because I'll tell you, if it is a prostate cancer, that as a result of your prostate or sloughing off from your prostate, hormone treatment will help kill that.
They're going to do both.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I'm gonna. What happens when you get the hormones?
That's also the reason why I apologize to him tonight, because I'm hoping he leaves me in his will. So
be very much there. Not stuff that you want.
Yeah, right. Because even if I didn't want it, you'll send it to me anyway. But anyway. I know, Phil, I don't want to get into a big argument with you about this, but I think the idea that the president is so reluctant to wear a mask is scary, because it tells a whole nation of people who love this guy, don't wear a mask. You don't need a mask. I'm not wearing a mask. I don't need one.
Did you ever notice that he has breathing problems?
Yeah.
He does. Yes. Yeah.
And that may be part of it.
Well, no, I don't think that's the reason he doesn't want to wear a mask. That's the reason he should be wearing a mask.
I think he has a deviated septum or something.
Well,
he's deviated, all right.
And it ain't just his septum. Yeah, I don't think that's the reason, Phil. I think it's vanity. And what I was going to say is, hey, really, a mask might actually help the way you look.
Yeah, really.
It just might help.
The spray-on tan would get on the mask.
Yeah, that's right.
That could be a problem.
That could be a problem.
They had his hand up.
Yes. Who's got his hand up? Because I'm having a hard time seeing with this man.
I bought a fuck Trump mask today. Fuck Trump on it.
I was going to say the N95 that actually is filtering the air is the only one that's going to give you breathing problems. A regular cloth mask doesn't filter anything out. So
I found that with a cloth mask, though, with the surgical mask, that if I'm walking with it, I sometimes have a little trouble breathing with it. But it's just that I think it's important that people who are in the public eye, show, hey, look, I'm wearing a mask. You wear a mask too.
Lead by example.
I want to open up this economy tomorrow. Wear a mask, okay? Cuomo never does his press conferences with a mask on, but when he gets up to leave, he's holding a mask in his hand, and he puts it right on. And I just think it's you lead by example. And it bothers me that he's not leading by any kind of example that way. And I see a lot of people, I see a lot of people in these states that are letting the beaches open up with people not wearing masks, and they're too close to each other, and they're just asking for it.
If they're outside in a recreational kind of setting, do you think they really need to wear a mask?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. And more in that atmosphere than anywhere else, because they're breathing heavier, because they're expending more energy. Oh, absolutely, Phil.
Can I add this? I've been watching Fox News, and they're saying, oh, we were supposed to just flatten the curve. Now what are they saying? No, we never said that we were going to open up when we flattened the curve. We said we're going to, that's the start, But I mean, if you look at Alabama, they've got like Montgomery County, they've got a fire down there starting up, going crazy, and their stupid ass governor wants to open up the state. I mean,
well, it's a question of flatten the curve.
They're not facing reality.
It isn't flattening the curve.
Dangerous.
It's killing the curve, because flattening the curve would simply mean you went up and then you hit a mesa. That isn't exactly flattening anything. It's flattening the curve, but it's not doing away with the people who are getting
the curve
sick.
Doesn't mean you stop. You stop when it's way down, down where it started at.
Here in New York right now, we are to be envied in this respect, that we are, if you looked at the curve, it went up and then it came down very slowly. But now where it's down to is about where it was when it started over here, okay? So we've managed to pretty much flatten that curve. And he's still not taking large risks. He's opening up slightly. He's opening up upstate where he can open up, and not, and just a little bit at a time, Let's not rush it. We got down this far. We all put our noses to the grindstone and we stopped this thing dead in its tracks and brought it back down. Now let's not let it go back up again. Okay, let's not take that chance, and that's the way.
Worse for the economy if that happens.
You got
if this happens a second time and they've got to close everybody down again, forget it. This country's toast when it comes to an economy, just completely toast. That's why you don't want to open it up too fast. Better you've got a kind of a depression, recession, whatever you can have right now.
And you have to really feel for the people who can't go to work. I mean, there are definitely two sides to this story. There's no question about it.
Okay, here's something that Cuomo brought up, and I was saying it on this show before he even brought it up. What happens with these companies who have learned now to operate with less people? Once this is over and they've laid off people, are they going to bring all those people back? And his feeling was that you should not give a bailout to any company that doesn't guarantee they will hire everybody back. Okay? Everybody they let off. And
so that's tough to do because it's going to take about a year or more for this economy to rev back up to where it was. So you can't expect companies to go back and go to the spending levels they were at when everything ended.
Yeah, but Rob, what they got this money for was to pay people and to make sure they didn't have to lay people off.
How much money are they getting and how much money do they have to pay?
When you talk about certain companies,
we don't know what their payroll is versus how much money they've given.
They're getting, some companies are getting $1 billion.
PPP for small businesses was 2.5 times payroll. The average monthly payroll, or 12-month average, times 2.5, and that had to be spent within the 8 weeks of when you received the money. So let's say you got the money 2 weeks ago, which like I did. I only have 6 more weeks to use that money for the particular reasons. Otherwise, it's not forgivable, and then I have to pay it back within 2 years.
Yeah, but also what they're saying, Phil. Let's say you laid some people off because you couldn't keep them on. Now you got this money. If you got this money, you should have to hire them all back.
That's the whole reason for getting the money.
Exactly. Yeah. But what he's saying, what he's saying is he has a great fear that and he wrote a op-ed item for the New York Times. Oh no, in the Washington Post about this. That what he's afraid of are companies who are going to get all this money. What they're going to do come Christmas time, they're going to give big bonuses to
That's shame on them if they do that.
Well, but they did it last time. Remember when we had that big bailout? It went to bonuses.
SBA offered me more money. I haven't decided whether I'm going to take it yet. It's amortized over 30 years, and it's at a very low interest rate. And but you can't use it for bonuses. You can't use it to move your store.
Right.
There's a lot of restrictions on it.
Right.
And so that's why I'm hesitating taking it. I have 30 days.
But how many? What he was afraid of is how many of these businesses are going to use these layoffs as an excuse not to hire back and become leaner and meaner.
A lot of businesses in these years have been running lean and mean, and you couldn't hire people because there was such a low unemployment rate coming into this. And, you may end up hiring different people because, there'll be opportunity out there. But you also have to be back to a certain level of what your level was. I think I had 8 salaried employees in February. So therefore, in June, I think I have to be back up to that. And if I'm not, then that money again is not forgivable.
What do you think about what we're talking about, Josh? You've been kind of quiet tonight about the fact that a lot of businesses may use this as an excuse not to hire people back and to run leaner.
If they will, I'm sure they already are. I mean, my work took advantage to dismiss a couple people that they had been waiting for people they didn't really want anymore, but didn't really have a reason to get rid of them. And suddenly they had a reason.
Yeah.
And they claim they eliminated the positions, but they're positions you can't really eliminate. They'll be back in another 6 months, and this time it'll just be with someone younger that they can handpick and control, rather than someone who had been with the company for 20, 25, in one case 30 years.
That's what I was going to say, is they'll renew the position and put somebody young in there, or less tenure, so that they don't have to pay all those benefits. That's what they do.
Jeff, and then Phil. Yes.
My daughter runs part of Mass Medical, the medical facility, and they have all the people who are students there, and they really shut it down for the summer, and a lot of people got terminated because of that. Who were supporting people.
Phil?
There's going to be a high percentage of small businesses that may not reopen. Whether they got PPP or didn't, they're in a position where they've been so decimated, and we're talking about a lot of restaurants, that you're going to see a lot of businesses boarded up. And after things start opening again, because they can't.
Well, I think what Cuomo was particularly
several around here. I mean, Sunset or was it Paradise Beach down at Capitola?
Yeah,
they're shutting down. They shut down as of the other day, and that place has been there for 27 years.
What is that, a bar?
Chuck Oliver's one of the owners, a friend of mine. But yeah,
is that a bar?
Yeah, it's a bar on Capitola, right on the beach there.
Well, I mean, I think what Cuomo wrote about was he was concerned with these companies who are getting $1 billion bailout, who are then going to come back and try and use this period of time as an excuse to really lay people off, to come back leaner and downsize their needs, as it were.
That was the reason for the oversight committee that they didn't want to put in there. Yeah. And is there going to be an oversight committee? That's was that ever settled?
I don't know.
Was that oversight committee?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's still not. We're not going to see ourselves out of these woods for several years now. And I would hate to see us go back into it. I would hate to see this thing suddenly come back with a vengeance, especially because there is a possibility of a second wave. When we had the 1918, not the 1970, dear President Trump, which is a movie, but 1918 and 1919, the Spanish flu. It had 3 waves. It had a wave, and then it had a higher wave, and then I think, am I right, Brian? It had even a higher wave than that.
Smaller wave, but yeah, there was a third wave.
There was a third wave. Yeah.
I don't think we're going to shut down the economy if there's a second wave.
You don't think it's going to shut down the economy?
I don't think so.
Why?
More tests.
Too many people have already been out of work so long, and then,
we keep feeding it money.
So we're just gonna let people die.
Yeah, if people are dying, whether or not you want to open up your business or not, people aren't going to come to your business. I mean, no matter what you do. I mean, what are you going to do? Force people to work in these meat packing plants if they're walking home and dying like flies? I mean, come on. It ain't going to happen. It's like...
It is happening.
Well...
People are dying.
Not yet.
You got to remember
really.
the people who are.
Wait till people start dying in Florida in a month, and wherever else these Trumpy governors are trying to open up, and Trump's saying, "Oh, we're going to put the fires out."
Well, there are also quite a few Democratic governors who feel the pressure. From the public, to reopen. They're going around protesting. We have the right to. You don't have a right to make me sick. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
You don't have the right to make me sick. I have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, just like you do.
Yeah.
And nobody's telling you that that this is a police state, and they're just asking you to help. Just help.
Well, I ended up going out to dinner last night.
Yeah, how was it?
It was great. I went out to dinner. We went to this little town out here outside of town. It's a town of 500. It's Tres Pinos Inn, a little place.
Yeah.
And there was 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 people in the restaurant. We were 3 of them. It was 15 people, 15 feet apart from everybody else.
Oh, okay.
It was quiet.
What city?
In Tres Pinos, outside of Hollister here.
Okay.
Or as they probably call it, Tres Pinos, right?
Yeah, Tres Pinos, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's really good steaks and stuff, and it was our 20th anniversary, so we weren't going to go out, and my daughter said, "I'm not going out. I'm not going." She finally said, "Well, I guess we can try it," and we thought, "Okay, we'll go and do our mass," and it's a nice little, country.
Today, Marjorie heard the name of a city in California, and she said, "Where is that?" And I said, there are a lot of towns I've never heard of in California. Every day you're finding out about a town you never heard of before. And she said, "Well, what's San Gabriel?" And I went, "I don't know where San Gabriel is." And then I thought for a second. I went, "Oh, you mean San Gabriel?"
Yeah. Well, we have Los Banos across the hill, Los Baños.
Yeah.
Bathrooms.
Where Kevin is, there's a lot of small Gonzales and all these other really small areas, right?
Yeah.
My first night in California, I stopped in with a friend of mine from San Luis Obispo, and we went to Pozo. I don't know if you know where Pozo is.
No
it's
idea.
Up in the mountains. And they have the Pozo is a post office, a landing strip, and a bar. And in that bar, they get all sorts of top musicians who fly in and they'll jam.
Oh, yeah. I know where that is.
And that was my first night in California, December 30th, 1973.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah, it was nice. It was nice. It was nice to get out, actually.
Well, this has been a nice, quiet evening, hasn't it? Spent with the guys.
Yep.
We could use a woman in here, but
Well, I'll be taking hormones soon.
Yeah, you'll be crying like a baby, and then you'll be my bitch.
Yeah.
Phil, thank you for being here. Phil, thank you, Brian. Always good having you here. Rob, great to have you here. Charlie, Jeff, the little kid, yeah. Also, Josh. Let's see here. Kevin and Patrick, and I think Ray's been frozen for the last hour. And John Larkin, that's a ukulele, right?
A uke.
A uke. Yeah, sometimes when you get a chance, we'll have you play it for us. Anyway, that's it. We kind of. Right. Oh, really?
That's a soprano.
Well, the two of you should. Well, you're frozen, I think, Brian, for some reason. I don't know what happened. But anyway, okay. Well, let's all get our ukuleles out later on in the week, okay? Anyway, everybody give a big wave goodbye, will you? Yeah, there they go, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll wave back at them. Here, that's a Patrick wave I'm doing there. That's that kind of wave there. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Good panel and a good show. And we really thank them all for calling. Maybe some of them will stick around and call in to meet up with Jack Bishop next. He'll be here with the intersection next over most of the same GABNet. I'll see you tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye.